Hey folks, Dr. Gerstmar from Aspire Natural Health. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you're listening to this or watching this, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, I wanted to talk about the two parts of health. We have the individual or the personal part of health, which is where we focus the lion's share of our attention because it is the piece that is under each of our control. And make no mistake, we have a lot of control over our health, from choosing the things that go in our mouth or don't go in our mouth, whether we're physically active or not physically active, when we go to bed, when we get up, how we handle stressful situations, the relationships we cultivate in our lives, the jobs or career paths that we choose. All of these things are at least somewhat under our control, and we have the ability to control it. We know people who are in very poor situations who decide or choose to make very good choices. On the flip side, we know people that have everything going for them. They're very wealthy, they live in great places, they have easy access to many, many things, whatever they want or need, and yet they still choose to make very poor choices. So we spend a lot of time focusing on one, educating, understanding these key choices that make a big impact on a person's health, well-being, and the likelihood that they're going to get sick, they're going to suffer with digestive issues, autoimmunity, or other issues. We spend a lot of time focusing on these. However, it's important here to step back and say the other side of that coin. One side is the individual actions and choices that each of us make or don't make on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, decade-long basis really matter. However, it's also important to understand that there are factors that are beyond our immediate control, and they do have a significant impact on our health. Now, seeing some sunlight, some glorious, glorious sunlight here in this normally gloomy Washington sky is on my face. Yay! So let's get back to the environmental issues that impact each of us. Now, some of these are fairly obvious. We've talked about poverty as one example. We talk about making healthy food choices and a career and exercise and all of these. Well, obviously, those of us who are economically disadvantaged, those of us who are poorer, have a much more difficult time making those healthy choices. Again, we're not completely absolving people. We all have choices. And we talked before about better, okay, and poor choices, and that if better or best is not available to us, we can still make better or less bad choices. We're going to set that aside now and say that these impacts are very, very real, poverty being one of them. You know, one of the factors that we often see in people with digestive issues and autoimmunity is a history of abuse, unfortunately. Not everyone dealing with digestive issues or autoimmunity is going to be suffering from abuse, and not everyone who's been abused is going to have digestive issues or autoimmunity. So again, it's not a one-for-one thing, but it is a history that we see often enough going on that we recognize that it's a real factor, whether it's physical abuse, whether it's mental abuse, whether it's sexual abuse, or some combination of all of these. We've seen these things be a major factor, and we've often seen that a person's willingness to go into, to deal with that trauma, to do their best, to try their best to resolve or come to peace with as much of that trauma as possible, often plays a significant role in the level of their healing. So while we can address a person's nutrition and diet and lifestyle and gut function and immune function, all of these different factors that we can address, we've seen people who are willing to then go above and beyond and really dive in and do the really hard, painful work of addressing these issues and coming to some sort of resolution or peace, often see their health skyrocket, while those who are not yet ready to deal with those, they see improvement with a lid on top of it, not able to currently get beyond that. Again, no shame, blame, or guilt here with any of this. We see that environmental toxicity is a factor, which is why it's one of the steps of the Aspire method is to do our best to deal with environmental toxicity. Again, that's kind of the personal side of it. On the environmental side, we need to do everything we can to say, look, we need to stop polluting our environment. So it's just recognizing here that there are the choices that we can make, and then there are the bigger environmental issues that affect each of us. Some of us are going to be more deeply affected by those, and others of us aren't. We all collectively need to work to try and improve, not try, to improve all of those different environmental factors, from poverty, from toxicity, from, abuse, right? It's a big, complicated issue, but we need to do everything we can to affect those, because it's not just individual choices. And here I'm asking for kindness. It is human nature to look at someone, to blame or condemn them. So we look at someone who's obese, and I see this all the time on the internet, right? All the name calling, all the shaming, they must have horrible health habits and all the rest. And certainly that is a factor. Many people struggling with obesity don't have the eating habits, the exercise habits, et cetera, that they need. But also some kindness here. We don't know. Is it possible that person went through loads of abuse and they're struggling to deal with it? Is it possible that toxicity, yes, there are things called obesogens, chemicals that predispose someone towards obesity or other things are a factor? Is it a possibility that poverty or other stressful situations or other things are a factor here, which are playing into the issues that someone is dealing with? And the answer is most likely yes. Now, again, it's the balance, right? By recognizing that there are factors that are beyond or bigger than an individual person's control, we're not saying you can just throw up your hands and give up and not do anything, but we're also recognizing that you can be doing the right things in your life. You can be eating well and exercising, getting enough sleep, managing your stress, cultivating good relationships and meaning in your life. And there are other factors that are basically beyond our control. So it's recognizing with some kindness for ourselves and kindness for others. Now, one of those factors that in recent days has been highlighted for a lot of people who are like me, white and middle class, is racism. Now, I keep this channel almost exclusively about health because I believe that regardless of race, regardless of income, regardless of religion, regardless of political affiliation, no matter where you fall on the spectrum, health affects all of us, and we need to deal with those. However, I want to take just a moment here to discuss this issue that race is a real and significant problem. For people like me who are white and middle class, I've never seen severe instances of racism, someone beaten in my vicinity, someone called names in my vicinity, someone harassed in my vicinity. And that's a factor of my privilege. But we need to listen to people like me. If you're like me and you're white, you're middle class, you may have never seen these issues. And it's tempting to say that they don't exist. Human beings like to do a thing, all of us, where we say, if I don't see it, it must not be an issue. Well, I'm here to say we all need to listen with kindness to what other people are experiencing. So please, it's time for us white people who may never have experienced it, who may never deal with this issue, to educate ourselves on the reality of what's going on. I highly recommend Trevor Noah, the host of The Daily Show, did a really, really powerful talk. You can find it on YouTube. Please just Google Trevor Noah and George Floyd, and you will find the video. It's 18 minutes long, and it's very powerful, and it helped me to come to somewhat of a better understanding of the situation that's going on. For Black people, to bring this back to health, right? These factors directly and significantly impact their health and well-being. Racism, poverty, and these factors really impact what is going on for them. It's not enough to just say, well, people just need to eat healthy and exercise, all these other factors. Yes, they do need to do those things, but there are these other really significant factors. So I strongly urge you as white people, kindness, to everyone, kindness to ourselves. This is a challenging time. Kindness to the people who are struggling and dealing with this. As white people, please, the first step is to educate yourself. Please listen to the Trevor Noah video if you haven't. Please listen to what people of color are saying about these situations. You can find these people on social media if you'd like to go listen to them. There are many books, videos, podcasts, and other things that are out there. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the human race. We owe it to people of color to listen to what is going on for them. So please, at the very minimum, educate yourself, listen to other voices. The second step I recommend is, please, if you are financially able, make a donation to an organization that is actually doing something to try and address these issues. Those of us who are blessed economically can help donate to organizations that are trying to make a difference. Third, and lastly here, if you feel so called or inclined or you are able, physically, can you reach out and do something? Be part of an organization or join some of the peaceful protests that are going on or some other factor. So please, the point of this podcast is to recognize that there are things we can do and there are factors that are beyond our control. It's calling for kindness to others, all of us, ourselves, for those factors that we can't control, as well as other people. It's easy to reach out and judge them without understanding all of the pieces that go into what's going on for that person. And please, fellow white people, I urge you, read up and listen to people of color. If it's economically possible, please make a donation to an organization that is working to address these issues. And if you feel so called or inclined, physically donate time, energy, join some of these movements and these issues that are going on that are peacefully calling for change. All right? And please, if this rubs you the wrong way, if you're like, this guy should never talk about these, that's fine. That is your opinion. Please don't send me email. Please don't respond in comments. Please feel welcome to unfriend me, unlike me, drop off the list, stop watching these videos. That is perfectly fine. This channel is about health, and I will keep most of my comments there, but occasionally each of us is called, and we need to speak up in whatever way that we can. All right, folks, that is it for me today. The lessons to take away: kindness. Please, white people, fellow white people, educate yourself, donate if you can, and physically join in whatever way that it is possible. All right, folks, that is it for me today. Until next time, take care.